All right, we're gonna get some of that R&B rock and roll, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters on Billboard's Hot 100 the week of August the 26th, 1961. They are coming in at number. It's a lost 45. Only got as high as number 66. But let me bring it up for you real quick. Bring up the digital version of Billboard's Hot 100. God, I live and breathe these Hot 100s. It's just incredible. The lost 45s. Well, here it is. Keep on dancing by Hank Ballard and the Midnighters. It makes its debut at number 97 on Billboard's Hot 100 week of August 26, 1961. And let me go ahead. Some of the big hits. I'll give you a few of the big hits off that Hot 100 to give you some perspective. Who Put the Bump in the Bump 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 by songwriter Barry Mann at number 33. Take Good Care of My Baby by Bobby Fee at number 31. Produced by Snuff Garrett. Quarter to Three by Gary U.S. Bonds at number 27. And I'm sure you remember this one. Oh, yes. Does Your Chewing Gum Lose Its Flavor? On the Bedpost Overnight by Lonnie Donegan, coming in at number 26. But let's get into this Hank Ballard and the Midnighters record, Keep On Dancing. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters, what can I say? They were one of the original rock and roll acts, one of the early rock and roll acts. Rock and roll pretty much started. African Americans invented rock and roll. That's all there is to it. If you want to look for the early rock and roll records, you need to look no further than the R&B charts of the late 40s and early 50s, basically. You got Fast Domino, Rufus Thomas, and of course Hank Ballard and the Midnighters, although they're originally known as the Royals. Hank Ballard, well, here's the deal. Hank Ballard, he joined a group called the Royals. They were a doo-wop group. And the Royals, they were discovered by Johnny Otis and signed to his federal record label. And they, yes, these guys, they got down and dirty. They sure did. This was the music they put out back in the 50s was stuff that the teenagers did not want their parents catch them listening to. Their first hit record by the Royals was Get It. Sexual overtones in that record. It went to number well, I think it went to number one R&B. I can't read my chicken scratch, but it was a big R&B hit. But now here's the thing about the Royals. They changed their name to the Midnighters because they didn't want to be confused with another group called the called the Five Royals. They became the Midnighters. Eventually came Hank Ballard and the Midnighters. And Hank Ballard, he went all the way out, being risque. He wrote "Work with Me, Annie." Oh my goodness. Can you imagine playing that on your record player back in 1954 and your grandparents suddenly walk in on you and you're listening to this record and they're like, what has happened to the morals of our youth? Work with Me, Annie, back in 1954, but it was a monster hit. R&B, it was number one for 7 weeks. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters, and then they came out with Annie Had a Baby, and Aunt Fanny. Oh gosh, what was that one? Aunt Annie Fay, or they came out with another one. I get. Let me bring it up for you. Let me. I forgot the name of the other record they did that was so risque. It was the song was called. Let me. Bear with me. Just bear with me. There's Work with Me, Annie. Annie's Aunt Fanny. These songs were banned by the FCC. The FCC stepped in. They said, "Do not play this." Even though these records were huge R&B hits, but Hank Ballard, he kept rolling them out. He came out with a record in 1955, another huge R&B hit called "Annie Had a Baby." No, it wasn't "Annie Had a Baby." It was called "Sexy Ways." Sexy Ways. Now imagine trying to play. Now I want you to think about this. I want you to go back to 1955. Let's go straight back. A pop radio station in 1955. Got a record by Doris Day. Got a record by Perry Como. Try to slip in "Sexy Ways" by Hank Ballard and the Midnighters between those two records, and boy, you'll get a deluge of phone calls, angry phone calls. The preachers will be railing outside the radio station. Just didn't do that back in the 50s. These songs are tamed by today's standards. But in the 50s, woo, no way, you didn't play that. If you listen to these songs on your record player, you did it discreetly. You did it with your friends, your teenage friends. When your parents came home, you're like, oh, let's take this record off the record player. Let's hide these records. Let's hide them under the bed. They hung in there though. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters, they switched record labels. They went from Federal to King in 1959, And I can't remember their first crossover record. Let me bring that up for you again. I think it was As Teardrops Fell. It was supposed to be their first crossover record, 1959. Teardrops on Your Letter. That was supposed to be that was the A side, but it was the B side that got so much attention. Hank Ballard wrote the original version of the Twist. The Twist was getting a lot of attention, but it was covered by Chubby Checker. Chubby Checker took his version to number one. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters version of the Twist languished at number, 55 or number 60 on Billboard's Hot 100. But they had a number of hit records in the early 60s. You might remember Finger Poppin' Time back in 1960-61, and there was also Let's Go, Let's Go, Let's Go, and the Hoochie Coochie record, and there was also the Continental Walk back in the early 60s, but they broke up by 1965. But they made their mark. Even though their songs were considered risque, as a matter of fact, I know a guy, I know a fellow friend of mine who went to a Hank Ballard and the Midnighters show back in the late 50s, early 60s. He said, "Man, these guys they cussed." Now you're thinking, so what? So what if somebody cusses on stage? Well, again, that's nothing by today's standards. But you gotta go back in the sock hop years. Oh no, you didn't want your parents or grandparents seeing that on stage. Ooh no. Well, anyway, let's go. Keep on Dancing by Hank Ballard and the Midnighters. Got as high as number 66. Let me bring up that chart position for you again. Gosh, dog it. I'm looking at these Lost 45s on this Hot 100. I don't know which one to do next. I'm just. Okay, well, let's go to this Hank Ballard and Midnighters records. I might as well just count down this Hot 100. Keep on Dancing, debuting at number 97 the week of August 26, 1961. It peaked at number 66. It was on Billboard's Hot 100 for 5 weeks. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters, rock and roll legend.